Going on Facebook group, and happy freaking Thursday. What's up? Let me make my thing a little bit bigger. Um, Coach Stefan here. If you're new to this group, I want to give you just a general overview. We do these live trainings every single Thursday. So glad to have you in here. And what we talk about is mindset, training, nutrition, kind of like everything I talk about on my podcast. By the way, I do have a podcast called The Everyday Pursuit where we talk about fitness, nutrition, and mindset. And it's a podcast, right? So it's a little bit different. I'm not doing visual trainings like this. A lot of mindset on there, but I mean, if you want to go listen on YouTube or Spotify. There's some links in here. I can drop it below. But what I do in this group specifically, because it's private, is I make sure that we are covering really tangible, actionable things. And one of the questions I get a lot is what workout split is the best? And I'm going to tell you why I think a specific workout split is the best to build muscle. Some people ask for burning fat, which we'll get into like why there's not really a specific best for that, but there is kind of an optimal and a non-optimal for building muscle. And if you are new to this group, my name's Coach Stefan. I own Pursuit Health and Performance. We are an online fitness company that's had hundreds and hundreds, about 500-600 transformations in the last 3 years. And we work almost exclusively with the first responder community. So in this group, we have a lot of our active clients and people that aren't, maybe you're not. But I created this for people that maybe wants just some free information, but also for our active clients and people that are kind of just checking us out. So that's a little background, but let's dive in. So basically, when people come to me, they ask, like I said, hey, what is the best workout split to build muscle? Now, I'll tell you guys, I'm not a bodybuilder, okay? And the reason I do air quotes is because there are a lot of coaches out there that literally do bodybuilding competitions. That is not me. I was a published fitness model. So as far as having a really good physique, been there. But I don't do like these massive cuts and these massive bulks. I don't take any performance enhancing drugs, never will. That's just not my vibe. I was a veteran myself and an athlete my whole life. So when I go to look good and build muscle, I always think about my function. Like I want to be flexible. I have a 2-month-old and a 13-year-old, and my 2-month-old is going to be, 2, 3, 4 years old, going to want me to crawl with him, play with him. My other son wants me to play football and tackle with him. So I don't want to just be like this big, bulky guy that gets injured all the time. I want to be functional, but I also want to look good, right? And I do think there's a balance. So this is not really probably the most optimal if you're going to do bodybuilding and performance enhancing drugs. So if you're going to take tren, D-bol, test, steroids, any of that realm, it might not look like this. I mean, you can still do it and get good results, but we'll just dive in. So the biggest thing to think about is, and this is just a question I'm going to pose for you. How do I train the most volume and, well, just most volume, right, in a 7-day period? It doesn't have to be, and still recover. So this would be the question that you want to ask yourself. And the reason I say this is because basic muscle goes like this, okay? When you're going to do weight training, you are breaking down muscle tissue, like actually creating little micro tears, AKA hypertrophy training. And hypertrophy just means muscle growth. That's what the word means, right? And so most people in the gym are going to exhaust their muscle, right? And not just endurance, but like, I'm doing 4 sets of 12, right? That's hypertrophy training. And when you're doing the 4 sets of 12, the 4 sets should be really challenging, right? And you should hit failure or close to failure. So you're breaking down the muscle tissue. And you might say, I don't feel like I'm tearing it. Well, if you ever got really sore, that's what it's from. It's not from a lactic acid buildup or whatever you've been told. It's literally just from getting like extremely sore, okay? So you want to ask yourself, okay, so if I want to break down my muscle, and each time I break it down, if my recovery is good, if I consume enough protein, enough calories, enough water, if I sleep enough, I will end up growing muscle because that's how your body works. It grows back bigger and better and stronger. So basically what your goal should be if you want to gain muscle is, how can I break down my muscle as much as I need to and as frequent as I can to have it grow? Because that's what it is, right? It's frequent bounce. Like think if you broke your muscle down, let's just use numbers so it makes sense. Your muscle, it goes from a 0, which is like all the way broken down, to a 10, which is all the way recovered. Let's just say that. And so you go and you go to the gym fresh. It's a 10, right? Totally fresh, not broken down at all. And you break it down to like a 5. Well, you can go back into the gym when it's like an 8, like it's not fully recovered. But the most optimal thing would be is to break it all the way down to a 0, which probably you would never really actually do. But like you break it all the way down, you recover it all the way. You break it all the way down, you're able to like break it down as much as you can and recover it as much as you can. That whole process, that's where your muscle is going to grow the most, right? If you just did one set of 12 reps as hard as you can, that's not that much, right? Like you probably won't grow that much, which is why you need to do a lot of volume. And volume just means like your sets and your reps. Another thing that breaks your muscles down a lot is time under tension, right? So basically, the things that you want to be focusing on, okay, are volume, right? Which is basically sets and reps, okay? And then you want muscle breakdown. And that's really like time under tension, okay? That's usually what that is. And time under tension just means like a slow rep, right? If you're doing bench press and you can do 135, like these quick reps, but you slow it down like really slow, right? Like this, like these slow negatives, that's more time under tension. There's more time. The muscle fiber is under tension, okay? So those are really the main things you want to focus on when you're training. Now, besides that, okay, to get into the nitty gritty, the reason I say that is because that's going to dictate how often. Most muscle recovery, right? We'll just say muscle recovery is usually about 48 to 72 hours. Now, this depends on the volume and time under tension, right? Like if you go into the gym and you do one set, you probably don't need 2 to 3 days to recover. If you go in and you're completing like 5 sets, 6 sets, like today I went to the gym and I did 5 sets of 10 to 12. That's pretty good, right? And I did that on incline bench, but I also went into dips. So that was like really 10 sets of chest and triceps. That's a lot in one thing. I'm going to be pretty broken down. Doesn't mean I'm going to be sore because there's actually not a huge correlation, but those are the big things I want to focus on. And then you guys know muscle recovery. So because of that, when I go work a muscle group, we'll talk about muscle building splits. I want to make sure that I can hit, let's just do a muscle group, chest and triceps. So I want to break my chest and triceps down as much as possible. Number one. I also want to recover them, but that's kind of a whole nother thing. I want to create as much time under tension during that session, which is also compounded with the muscle breakdown, right? So these things are kind of like, together. And then when I do that, I want to make sure that I'm recovering my muscle. That's very, very, very important. If I'm not recovering my muscle, then there's no point. Understand that. The only reason you're going to the gym is to break it down so you recover. So I want about a 48 or 72 hour rest period between repeating muscles groups. And I'm like not the best typer. So basically let's just give you guys my favorite. So I like a push, pull. Well, we'll actually type it out because that's going to be pull legs. Now, the reason I like this, and this is, I'll tell you if you want to train 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week, I like this for anywhere 3 to 6 days. Now, this is very dependent on the person's volume. And the reason I say that is like, I have some clients that come in and they go, I can lift 3 days a week. I actually wouldn't put somebody, actually, let's do a 4 to 6 because I would usually put that person on 3 full body workouts. That's actually probably a better thing. But if you want a 4 to 6 day split, I like push pull legs. And you might say, wait, this is only number 1, number 2, number 3. What if I do 4 days? Yeah, it'd be a push pull legs and then a full body, right? If you're going to do 5 days a week, well, it depends. Is your upper body more trained than your lower body? Maybe you're doing push pull legs, right? And then maybe you're like, okay, my upper body, yeah, you could do it in a different order too, right? You could do like legs, pull, legs, push, whatever. So now you actually hit your legs twice a week. You hit like an upper body and an upper body, different muscle groups, 48 hours recovery between here, right? And I'm just saying this would be like a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, rest Wednesday, whatever. Okay. But push pull legs is really nice because for me, I train 6 days a week. Now that might seem really drastic, but here's the thing. I have clients that train 3 days a week, but they feel like because they're only training 3 days, they need to they need to train like 90 minutes in the gym, which I'm all down for that. I mean, I end up training around 90 minutes. And I don't know why this went over. Hopefully this is, boop, boop, boop. Sorry, I had a little technical error. All right, cool. Hopefully this helps. So push pull legs is really nice because I train 6 days a week. Like I said, the reason I train 6 days a week is because I'm able to actually keep my workout shorter. Now, personally, I just like being at the gym, so I don't mind being there 90 minutes, but my workouts could be 45 to 60 minutes max if I train 6 days a week. So all I would do, honestly, guys, is I just repeat this twice, or I'll just put times 2. So for me, I like Sundays as my rest day. I used to do it, but Sundays is also my day off of work. So for me, this is going to be like a Monday through Saturday schedule. And the cool thing about this is I know that whatever I didn't get in my push day on my like first set, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I can hit Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? That's the cool thing. And instead of sitting there and saying, hey, I'm going to do push pull legs and oh man, I got my squats in, but I didn't get leg press. I really like leg press. Or, oh, I got in lunges, but I didn't get the leg extension. I don't know. I'm able to just get in all the movements that I like because I do like and dislike other movements. And I'm able to beat my muscle up frequent. Now, there is a style of training where you go in one day a week and you just crush your body part. I used to do that for a long time, and it works because you're not even hitting them until 7 days later. But the cool thing is I think it's cool. We work with a lot of first responders. And for you to be like dead ass sore and not be able to walk, not optimal. If you had a desk job, whatever. But if you're a cop, firefighter, even a nurse sometimes, and you're like so sore that it hurts to walk, that's probably not very conducive to your career, right? Or even your home life. So the cool thing about this is I don't have to do a lot of volume. Like I can go do push, like I said today, and I could do 2 sets of chest. Now I'm not just doing 2 sets a week. I'm actually can do 2 sets this 2 or 3 sets here, and then the next day, 2 or 3 sets. And when you're looking at volume, it actually is what you're getting in a week's period, right? So this is like or I'll just put 7 days. This is kind of like, we live by calendars, right? So every 7 days is like how frequent you want to look at your volume. Like, what did you get in within 7 days? That's why I like a 4 to 6 day split. So for me, and hopefully that makes sense. If you guys have questions, let me know. But that's kind of what I like to do. Now, let's just say you are a 3 day a week, because we have a lot of people that are 3 days a week. You want to stick to a full body workout and you still want to prioritize this. Okay. I know that sounds weird, but you still want to do a push pull legs. And part of the reason I say that is push might be like, anything like pushing, right? So chest and shoulders. Right. And then when I say full body, you're going to add in other things. So chest, shoulders, let's say we sprinkle in some abs and calves. Then pull might be like back, bicep, maybe some like hamstrings. So you would still hit some legs here and some legs here. But the primary focus is like exercises that push, exercises that pull, exercises that do a lot of things with your legs. You can do abduction, adduction, lateral movements, frontal plane stuff. I don't want to get too much into the specifics of the programming, but just telling you guys, if you want to train 3 days a week, if you're 4 to 6, I always like a push pull legs, doing this twice. And I promise you, it creates a better habit training 6 days a week. Like, I know there's other people that might be like, that's ridiculous. You don't need to train 6 days a week. I think having a full rest days are fine. But for me, this just creates a habit. And there's something else called mental health. And when I go to the gym and my heart rate gets up and I feel like I accomplished something, I feel good. I feel momentum. And it's not asking for a lot, guys. And I think it is actually probably more realistic if you're busy and you have kids to be able to get 45 to 60 minutes in versus an hour and 45 minutes with like the driving in the shower and all that. So again, you could still go 4 days a week. So on Monday, this is kind of like, I'll tell you kind of just my general split. So if we do push pull legs, so I'm basically doing push would be like chest and triceps roughly. Now I don't lift muscle building splits per se, but I still want to make sure that I'm targeting a muscle group. Now, I get it that you're like, well, that's a bodybuilding split. No. It is because you are sectionalizing like body parts, but within chest and triceps, I could hit them a million ways. I could do plyometrics. I could do like accommodating resistance. So like bands and chains. I could do explosive. I could do strength. I could do hypertrophy. This is just like what I hit because it makes sure that I'm here. hey, I need my muscles to recover. So if I just did these like, you know, these workouts that didn't prioritize a muscle group or I wasn't thinking about it, I might hit them every 24 hours, or maybe I hit this one and I didn't hit it for 4 days, right? And so this is like, hey, I can do everything I want. I can maximize muscle growth. I can maximize my performance, but I need to follow these rules. And I'll tell you guys right now, I do care about my physique. I want to look good, right? I want to look good with my shirt off. And I also want to perform. And so this is always in the back of my mind, right? So this is a chest and tricep folder focus. And then I will say like maybe shoulders. Okay. Maybe some shoulders in there. My pull is generally like an upper back. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why that highlighted. Let's go ahead. I thought I fixed that. I don't know what that was at 11. So that would be like an upper back and biceps. And then maybe I'm going to throw some core in there. Okay. So again, I'll just, I'll do this so it's all congruent, right? So I have shoulders as an auxiliary, core as an auxiliary, and it's going to bug me. I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like that. All right. And then, okay, cool. So then on legs, it's actually going to be probably a focus, because for me, if I'm going to blast like my quads, I can't just do like 1 or 2 exercises. And the thing about hitting your lower body is you need longer rest times usually, right? If you're doing lunges, squats, and deadlifts, dude, that gets your heart rate higher than anything. You're probably going to need like a 2-minute rest minimum. If you're going to be doing like any type of volume or strength, for most people, you can do 90 seconds, but I really like 2-minute, maybe even 3-minute rest, because I really want to exert myself. Even if I'm doing high volume, if I'm doing 15 to 20 reps, okay, or even 12 to 15 reps, and I'm really challenging myself, it takes 2 minutes for my heart rate to go back down and my muscles to just not feel pumped full of blood, where like I can do a good set again, right? And then here, I'm probably going to do like quads-ish. I'll just say like that muscle group, quads. And I'll just say with posterior. And basically what that is, like your posterior chain, I probably didn't spell it right. So your posterior chain is going to be all the muscles in the back of you, glute, hamstring, low back. So it's sprinkled with this. And then honestly, I'm just going to do the same thing again. So I might just come in here and say, hey, I'm going to do that again, but maybe I'm not going to do shoulders. Maybe I'll do maybe I'll do like core here. Okay. So now we say, 48 hours between the core. See how that's programmed, which is really nice because I'm not hitting things back to back. And then when I do my upper back and biceps, that's where I might do the shoulders, right? This is kind of the beautiful thing. So I might say shoulders. Okay. So now when we go look at it, okay, Monday and Friday. Now it's not going to be a perfect science, but that's kind of the beauty of it. Maybe I blast my shoulders here, or maybe I do a little bit of shoulders and auxiliary, like abduction, adduction. And if I'm losing you, I'm sorry. This is kind of trainer lingo, but I'm trying to give you guys, so abduction and adduction is just like, your groin and like your outer butt muscle, right? For your legs, which is super important. And then I'm going to go to quads and posterior, but I'm actually going to change it. I'm going to go posterior and quads, or with quads, sorry. And the nice thing about that is, like, imagine you did a leg day, and every single leg day you came in and you did your quads and then you did your hamstrings and stuff. Well, you would just assume that like you used a lot of your energy here. So this is not going to be as strong. Like you're going to be doing that exercise more fatigued. The cool thing, what I like here, is it's actually the opposite. Now I'm going to start with deadlifts. Here I might start with squats or lunges, and I'm still hitting all my low body in one day. Now I will say that usually the Wednesday and the Saturdays are a little bit longer for me. This works out because it's the weekend. And I just understand that I'm just going to be at the gym longer because there's a lot to hit. It doesn't mean I totally blast it. I mostly focus on quads. Maybe I'll end with a hamstring curl or something like that. And then Sunday, because I didn't spell that wrong. All right. And then I will do kind of the same thing again as far as the, make sure I got this right. Chest, push, pull legs, push, pull legs. And then this would be a rest day, obviously. Now, I will say the cool thing about these days for me is sometimes they're interchangeable. I have a family. Sometimes we do things on Saturday and it just doesn't work out. I can move it to Sunday. And you might say, oh my God, Stefan, but what if you move it to Sunday? Okay, well, let's just pretend that this was on Sunday. Well, it just means that I have a rest day here, right? And then I'm hitting this here. So it's still a rest day. And then I don't hit my legs until Wednesday. So, I mean, it works out really well because it's still like a 1, 2, 3 days between or 4 days between. And part of the reason that I really like that is because legs usually take a lot longer to recover. For me, if I crush my legs, they're substantially more sore than any other muscle group because they're a large muscle group, right? I feel like it's easier to get your legs sore. So for me, I feel like this split is probably the most beneficial because I can get in the most volume. I can get in exercises that, you can get in exercises that create a lot of time under tension at any point. But for me, I always think of this stuff. I'm like, all right, is there at least 48 hours between muscle recovery? Yes. Can I hit repeated muscle groups in 1 week with following this rule? Yes. Can I create a lot of muscle breakdown through time under tension without just being obliterated? Yeah, well, yeah, because instead of doing legs 1 day, I have 2 days to do it, which means, and think of it like this effort, okay? You have 2 days to do legs. Normally, you'd have to put in 100% effort, right? Which would just be 100 points. Let's say points, okay? Not percentage, because that won't work. 100 points. Well, what if the other day on legs, you actually only put in 75 points? Okay, so not as good. But what if you did that twice? Well, there's 150. And that's kind of how volume works. Like everybody says, oh, it's just the day you did it. No. The cool thing about muscle growth is there's been tons of studies showing you don't have to completely destroy your muscles. You could actually put in 75% effort twice, 48 to 72 hours apart. And that's actually better for muscle growth than one session at 100%. Now, the caveat would be, I've been training my body for 17 years straight. And at this point, I can still grow this way, but I do feel like the later you are in experience, you do need to, and when I say experience, I mean your sets and reps on your body in the gym, you might need further muscle breakdown. Now, you can still stick to this, but here's the thing. If you want further muscle breakdown, you could still do a day where you put 75% effort and 75% effort. And you're like, well, Coach Stefan, you just said the later you're lifting, you might actually have to put in more to break it down. Yes, but it just means less exercises. Like imagine this. Imagine I went to the gym on a push-pull legs and I did 2 movements, but I did German volume training, which is 10 sets of 10. Do you think that's enough volume? Oh yeah. It's probably, if you did that twice, it's probably too much volume. Okay. But the whole point is like, you can get there. You can get there no matter how experienced you are. It's just being a natural athlete, you will kind of hit more of a brick wall. So again, this is just a general overview. I'll be super honest with you guys. A lot of clients we train, they don't train 6 days a week. So we aren't really using this. But if you are more advanced, I think this is a really good way. I think Arnold did push-pull legs twice. So it was something where he knew that was optimal for some reason. Different case. He's on a ton of steroids, like actual bodybuilder, great genetics. But the whole point is a lot of the elite bodybuilders really like this type of split. And you could even do it a little bit different. You could say what I did here, chest and triceps and shoulders. So chest, triceps, shoulders, back, biceps, and calves or whatever. And then like your legs. I mean, it doesn't really matter. And I will say there's generally no perfect program. I mean, it really is a little bit of experimentation. There are programs that are optimal. There are some programs that are not optimal for sure. And I would say that this is probably the most optimal. That being said, you still need to have a nutrition. You need to have a plan. You need to track your volume. You need to make adjustments if something's not working. And then this is super general, right? You would probably be asking like, well, what muscle groups and how many sets and blah, 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 blah. And, how often do I switch it? And that's why you get on a freaking program. And that's why clients come to us. Because if you're even a little bit confused, this is what we're thinking of when we create programs for our clients. Because this is what I went to college for. This is what I spent the last 12 years of my life doing, is programming, experimenting with myself in the gym and figuring out what works, what doesn't work, what's optimal. And the biggest advice for you is like, you also need to like it. If you hate your routine, if you're just loathe it, it's just the same thing every week and it's so boring, that's going to be your biggest hindrance, right? If you need accountability, if you need guidance, I'd love to help you. You could chat with me and one of our coaches and get on a program, because we have these things built out. It's the app that walks you through everything. Exercise demonstrations tells you how many sets, how many reps. You just enter it. It's super easy. So all the thinking you're doing at the gym is totally out of you. And I want to challenge you. One last thing, and I'll let you go. Next time you go to the gym, I want you to look around and ask yourself and observe how many people look like they're following a program. I'll give you a hint. If they're not writing it down or inputting something in their phone, and you could tell when somebody's, scrolling through TikTok or actually like inputting stuff, if they're not writing it down, they're not really following a program. They might be following some structure in their head, but they're not actually tracking their volume and stuff like that. And that's going to be a huge downfall to long-term success. That's why you hit a plateau. So make sure that you're not the people in the gym that aren't following anything. You need structure. You need to go in with a game plan. And when you do, the results come. So I love you guys.